Hey everyone, it's Andrew Loveland with another LoveTech video. I'm not here. Oh wait, actually I am. Hi. I'm hiding behind this giant box that just came in the mail. This is the 5.1 Mac Pro that I ordered to become a media server for LoveTech. We're gonna get to the unboxing here in just a second, so stay tuned. Hey guys, so glad you could join us on the channel today. If you haven't had a chance to go look at the Mac Pro video that I put together about a week ago, definitely go take a look at that. I'll link it up top and down below in the description. This is the 5.1 Mac Pro from 2010. Now the 5.1 Mac Pro does in fact support Catalina OS X 10.15, as I mentioned in my prior video. However, you have to install a patcher to do that. So a little bit later on in another video, I'm gonna be actually upgrading this computer with a new graphics card along with OS X 10.15 Catalina. However, before I get there, I'm going to first obviously unbox this. We're gonna turn it on today and kind of go through the system and take a look, see what we got. See if in fact it is what the advertisement said on eBay. So I'm looking forward to that. And then after that, we're gonna do some benchmark testing versus my 2017 iMac. Now this is the quad core model here, so I know it's not gonna stack up to my 2017 iMac. So it is, 7 years older than my iMac. Obviously it's not gonna score as well on graphics and computing processing times. I'm super excited to unpack the 5.1 Mac Pro for a multitude of reasons. The biggest reason, of course, is the upgradability factor in this. So let's get into the unboxing. Oh my gosh, this is like so tall. I don't know if I should have been doing this video standing up or sitting down because this is absurdly high up right now. I'll put those down there on the floor. There's the packaging slip that, wow, got very pressed together in shipping. So it looks like they just packed it with a bunch of these foam pads on the outside, which I can definitely deal with over packing peanuts any day. Okay, let's see. I think I'm just gonna lift it straight up. There we go. Not a lot of packaging, but I guess it did the job. Here it is, guys. It came all the way from Illinois. Oh, whew, that was exhausting. So first off, let's take a look at the outside of the computer. So this side looks like it's in pretty good condition. Again, we do have some minor scratching, which is to be expected. This is, again, a really old computer. It was from 2010, as I mentioned before. Flipping around to the front, oh my gosh. Oh, I have to be careful not to scratch this desk. So we have our two super drives now. As I mentioned before in my previous video, you can actually replace these two super drives with solid state and or hard drive storage. So the Mac Pro is super, super awesome for that factor of upgradability. You can put up to 6 hard drives in this plus NVMe drives, which I'll show you where you put those in a little bit later on in the video here. Okay, and then flipping it around to remember which way. Oh gosh. This side, again, looks like it is in pretty good condition overall. Got some, looks like sawdust over here on this side, but looks like in pretty good condition overall. Well, let's flip it around to the back because that's when I noticed something super interesting about this specific model that was not advertised on the eBay listing, which is actually going to be a good surprise, probably not a bad surprise. So flipping it around to the back here, you'll notice that there are actually 2 graphics cards in this computer. Now, the seller on eBay clearly said that it only had 1 graphics card on it. It was a built-in, the standard, I believe, graphics card. Down here, you'll see your standard ports. You have 3 USB 2.0 ports, 2 FireWire 800 ports below that. You have your optical audio in and out channels here, a headphone jack, microphone jack, and then down here at the bottom, you have dual band Ethernet. So basically you can have a Ethernet connection come into the computer and then also go back out of the computer to go off to a secondary device if you have that in your setup. So very, very interesting overall. So I think with that, let's open this bad boy up and take a look and see what's inside. So to open up the Mac Pro, on the back, there's a little lever you just lift up, and then the side panel just comes down like that. Ooh, and that is dusty. Ooh, we're gonna have to clean that out later. Oh. So I'm just gonna actually set this guy. Oh God. I'm going to set this down here on the carpet so it doesn't scratch anything. I'm back. It's like I'm hiding behind this. So guys, I got it opened up now. Let's take a look at the inside. As I mentioned a little bit before, it looks like these are upgraded graphics cards, and there are 2 graphics cards, not just 1 in here. So I'm excited about that. Once we start up the computer in a little while, we'll take a look at the graphics cards inside and see what they actually are. They are GeForce Radeon graphics cards. I just don't know exactly what model they are without taking them out, so it'll be easier to start it up. It looks like it was advertised correctly in the respect that it is the single CPU tray, not the dual CPU tray. You can actually buy a dual CPU tray for this and actually have 2 different processors in here. So you could actually have up to a 12 core, technically 12 core processor in this machine if you want to down the road. That, you can do that by actually pulling the tray out like this, and it just slides out here. So this again is super dusty, so we're gonna have to go through and give this a good cleaning later. Looking at the RAM, we do have the 4 sticks in here. It does not say, oh, it does say 8 gigabytes, there it is. So we actually have the 32 gigs of RAM like advertised on the eBay listing, and it should be the standard quad core processor in this. So I'm gonna slide the CPU tray back in for now. I'll do some cleaning on that later. Now this was advertised as having 1 terabit drive in, I believe, slot 1. So with that, we can actually pull out slot 1. There is no drive in slot 1, 2, 3, or 4. What? Oh my gosh, they didn't. Well, this video will be to be continued, I guess then, unless there's a solid state drive somewhere else that I don't know about. But it sure doesn't look like it. So we're not gonna be probably launching this or setting this up today. That is actually very sad. So summing all this up for today, what I know so far, we have, I believe, a quad core processor inside here, 32 gigs of RAM, which has been confirmed. Moving up to the slots where the graphics cards are, we have actually 2 graphics cards, not 1, but 2. I'm not exactly sure what model they are at this point in time before I go in and look at them. And then we were supposed to get a hard drive in this slot with, I believe, OS X Lion installed, which is, I believe, 10.7. I'll correct myself if I need to a little bit later on that. And instead, yeah, we got no hard drive, but we got 2 graphics cards. So I'll be reaching out to the seller on eBay and we will take it from there on that. Now, the rest of this video today, I'm going to actually try booting this guy up and seeing if it will post and boot like it should. So let's start that and see if it does anything. Well, that's encouraging. It makes the post noise, and I'll flip the monitor around so you guys can see it. So in fact, it did make the post noise, and I'm expecting to see a folder icon here where it's not obviously going to show anything. It's just gonna be like a folder icon with a question mark because there are no hard drives on this machine installed. Again, it could also just stay on this white screen. So we'll wait for a few minutes and see what happens. And there it is. Yes, in fact, you can see the folder icon, the blinking folder with question mark icon, which does in fact signify that there are no hard drives installed on the machine. The good thing is it does post. Hey guys, so it's a few nights later and I have an update for you on my Mac Pro tonight. I think, cross our fingers, knock on wood, we'll be able to get this up and running and check out the specs on it. So what happened was the seller on eBay, they sent me, I think, the wrong computer, and they openly kind of admitted this when I reached out to them on eBay, and they were like, yeah, we accidentally sent you the wrong computer, and instead of you having to pay for the shipping and send it back to us, we will credit your account $150. So you might be wondering, well, you only spent $33 on this hard drive. What about the rest of the money? Well, I have an extra special surprise if you guys come back and watch the channel and subscribe. I have another something special on the way that I ordered with the remaining money out of the seller's credit. For this video, however, we're gonna be installing the 250 gigabyte PNY solid state drive into the Mac Pro. And then what I did was I created two bootable ISO images. One of them has OS X 10.14 on it, which is this one right here. 10.14 again is Mojave. Now Mojave requires a metal graphics card. And again, I'm not sure what type of graphics cards these are in this machine. I can almost guarantee they probably aren't metal supported graphics cards. However, I did create a Mojave bootable ISO, so we can try to put that onto this machine. For a backup plan, I created a OS X 10.13 High Sierra bootable ISO. And for you guys wondering, how do I create an ISO? Actually, Apple has a great solution for this now. So I will link it down in the description of all the steps I'm going to be doing to this machine tonight and show you guys how to go about installing OS X on a machine that doesn't have a hard drive in it from scratch. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to first off install the solid state drive into the computer. Now, I did order a $10 hard drive or solid state drive caddy off of eBay that will fit into the tray slot on the Mac Pro. However, I don't have that yet, so I've seen a lot of YouTube videos that show you that you can actually just insert the solid state drive right into the SATA port on the logic board, and it will hold in there just fine, especially if you're just doing that temporarily. Later down the road, I will be putting in that drive converter mount so the tray holds the solid state drive securely in place. Once we get this installed in the computer, then we're gonna try booting onto the 10.14 Mojave image and see if the graphics card lets us install this. If it doesn't, we'll go with High Sierra. And with that, let's get started with this build and put the solid state drive into the Mac Pro computer. So the first step to this installation process is we're going to take the side cover off of the Mac Pro. Now to do this, there is a little lever on the back of the Mac Pro you lift up. That unengages the lock on the Mac Pro, and then you can just gently lift down and the side of the computer case will actually come off. So I'm gonna put this aside over here, a safe spot. And then what we're going to do is pull out the slot 1 tray out of here, and that's where we're gonna put our solid state drive. As I mentioned earlier on, I ordered a converter that will actually screw in with the screws onto this drive slot bay, and we'll actually be able to mount the solid state drive to the drive slot bay and slide it in for secure installation, for more permanent installation, that is. So here is the PNY 250 gigabyte solid state drive. It's a SATA 3 drive, 6 gigabytes a second. Hopefully this works. I'm not 100% sure. It should though, in theory. Now this might be a little bit more challenging to install, and I thought I might have to lay this down on its side. I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely harder to install this when you don't have the drive bay available to just be able to slide this in easily. And that's what's so nice about these Mac Pros is they are very easy to work on normally, unless you're trying to jerry-rig something like I am right now. Now, one thing you want to make sure is part of the SATA connection on the back here is the wide part and part of it's the smaller part. The wide part is the part that actually carries the data between the solid state drive and the logic board, and the small part is the power, and that's all, of course, on one. So make sure you line it up the correct way before trying to insert it onto the logic board. There we go. Perfect. So I just slid that into the logic board, and I'm actually going to reinstall the drive bay cover, I believe, too. Oh, and it's actually not wanting to install because I'll show you guys here. So what's going on is it actually has some screws in here, and I don't want to take these out right now at all because I'm going to use these later on once I do get the drive converter bay piece for the tray slot piece here. So I'm actually not going to put this back in right now. I'm going to leave this out of the computer. All right, guys, so I got the computer plugged in. We got the Mojave USB ISO plugged into the back along with the keyboard now, and we also got the SSD installed inside slot 1 in the Mac Pro. Now what we're going to do is, before we even start the computer up, we're going to hold down the Option key on the keyboard. This will bring up the boot menu on the screen, and what that will do is we'll be able to boot off of the ISO image so we can install it onto the solid state drive. So with that, I'm going to turn the power on the front here. And again, we're holding the Option key down, waiting for this to come up. I might actually have to, oh, there it is. It was just slow. And here it is. So we should be able to see on the screen here in a second the boot menu. Now these are older machines, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer for them to boot up and get into this menu. So I'm just holding that Option key down. There it is. Perfect. So on the screen here, you see it says install macOS Mojave. So that's definitely a good sign that it is finding the USB drive on the back here. Now, it's probably not finding our solid state drive. The reason for that being is we've not formatted that yet. So we need to format that to a Mac OS X journal drive. It's unformatted currently, so it's not picking it up here on the boot menu. So we're gonna boot into OS X Mojave, and it might give us an error actually here, saying that it can't install it because of the metal graphics card support like I mentioned before. If that does happen, as I mentioned before, we will revert back to High Sierra 10.13. All right, so welcome back everyone. Now the flash drive has successfully booted into the ISO image. Now we're gonna go through this process of trying to install Mojave onto the solid state drive internally. So first off, we're gonna choose our language, which is English. All right, so here's our Mac OS utilities window. And from here, we'll be able to install and store our disk utility repair. Before we can install Mac OS on this solid state drive, we're gonna have to go into the disk utility and first off, make sure the solid state drive is showing up. Second off, if it is, we will need to format it before we can install the operating system or attempt to install the operating system. So we're gonna go into the disk utility, open that guy up, and cross our fingers that we see the solid state drive, which I am not seeing. Not happy about that. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I am dumb. It's right in front of me. It says internal right there. Oh my gosh. So as you can see on the screen here, it does say PNY CS900 250 SSD media. So that is definitely a good sign, is reading the solid state drive off the logic board. Next, we are going to click on this and we are going to click on erase. And we are going to format this as Mac OS Extended Journaled. By formatting this, it will let us install the operating system onto our internal solid state drive. So we're just gonna name this Mac, or I think they usually call it, like, I'm just gonna call it Mac OS Drive. And we will just click erase. It is going to erase the drive, unmount it from the system, and then partition and format it correctly. So it has now finished formatting our drive. We're gonna click done. And now we can exit out of the disk utility. This will bring us back to the OS utilities screen here. And from here, we'll be able to attempt to install Mac OS Mojave on this computer. So we're gonna click on install Mac OS and click continue. Next, it's going to, yep, there it is, metal support. Yep, so unfortunately, this will not work with this machine, except it will when we install the patcher later on and or upgrade the graphics card. So that just goes to prove that neither of these graphics cards that are installed in this machine currently are metal supported graphics cards. So the bad news here is I'm gonna have to shut the computer down and boot into High Sierra, which should let us install it on this machine. And I will be back once we get High Sierra, the ISO image, loaded up to this point on this machine. Again, we won't have to reformat the solid state drive internally because we already have done that. So we'll be back in just a minute once I get this booted up.
5 hours later.
The booter for that has now loaded on the screen here, so let's dive into that and get this installation going. So again, we're going to select English for our primary language here on the screen and give that a second to load. And once that loads in, now one thing I want to mention here really quick, I'm going to actually verify that the disk utility is picking up still the solid state drive inside of the computer. So we're just going to launch disk utility really quick here just to ensure that that's showing up. And it is macOS drive is internal, perfect. So we're going to exit out of that. And now we are going to click on install macOS, and knock on wood, this should work because High Sierra was the last operating system that Apple released that didn't require metal graphics on the GPUs. So we're going to click on install. Oh, we need to install firmware update. Oh my goodness. So to complete the update, we need to shut down, wait for it to power off. Next, we need to hold down the power button until power indicate light flashes until you hear a long tone. Gray screen with an Apple logo will progress, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna take a picture of this because I'm gonna forget all this stuff. So now we're going to press and hold the power button until we see the power light blink or we hear beeps, and then the firmware update should process for us. There we go, release that, the light blinked, there's the beep. And now we should see the firmware update start to take place here. There it is, there's the Apple screen. And now what it's doing is the bootable ISO is actually flashing the, interesting. Didn't know the disk drive was gonna open. That got me off guard. Anyway, so the firmware now is updating off the ISO image so we can install High Sierra on this machine. So we will give this a few minutes to finish up, and we'll be back once the firmware update is done.
1 hour later.
And the firmware update just finished. Disk drive just went back in. I don't know if we have to hold the option key down or if it will boot back into the ISO image. So if it does not boot into the ISO image, we might have to restart the computer again. But let's see what happens here. I don't want to mess it up. Here we go, there's the Apple logo. So I believe it is, yes, it is booting off the ISO image now. So we'll let the OS loader off the ISO image load again, and we'll be back once that loads up, and we should be able to install the operating system then.
5 hours later.
All right, so welcome back. The ISO now for High Sierra has booted up on the computer, and the firmware update has completed successfully. So now we have launched the ISO launcher for, I believe, the third or fourth time tonight, and hopefully, knock on wood, it will install High Sierra for us now. So let's launch into this really quick here. The moment of truth here, guys. Install macOS, double click. Knock on wood, please work, please work, please work, please work. There we go. So now we have a success screen saying that we can set up macOS High Sierra. So we're gonna click continue here. We're gonna agree to the license agreement, all the boring stuff that you have to do. And then we're going to select the macOS solid state drive, the PNY drive that we just installed a little while ago in this machine, and click on install. Now, this process could take a while. However, this does have 32 gigs of RAM in it and now a solid state drive, so the installation process on this should be a lot shorter than if we were to say have a 7200 or 5400, even worse, RPM hard drive in this machine like originally it was supposed to come with. And once something else happens, once the progress bar is done, we'll be right back. All right guys, so a few minutes later, High Sierra, the installer, finished installing High Sierra onto the Mac Pro on the solid state drive. So yay, success there. I'm super happy about that. Now let's go through and configure it and look at what type of machine we have here, what kind of graphics cards we have in it, and also some of the other system specs. So in the system overview, it shows that we have OS High Sierra 10.13.6 running on this machine. It is a mid 2010. It's running the 2.8 quad-core Xeon processor, 32 gigs of RAM, and it has an ATI Radeon HD 5770 graphics card. So it's actually a gigabyte graphics card. So that's actually not horrible, like considering the fact that, you know, a lot of the time these machines come with like a 512. At least it came with a 1 gigabyte graphics card, and I don't even know if the other one works. So we'll have to test that out in a second. We'll look at the system profiler as well too. And then flipping over to the storage tab here, we have 237 gigabytes available on our solid state drive, which we just installed on the machine a little bit ago. And the memory, we have 8 gigabytes in each slot. We can, I believe, on this model put in up to 64 gigabytes total, so 16 in each slot. If you have the dual tray, meaning the dual CPU model, you can actually put into, I believe, 128 gigabytes of RAM. However, 32 gigabytes is plenty for me on this machine. As I mentioned a little bit earlier on in my prior video to this one on the channel here, my iMac 27-inch only has 24 gigs of RAM. So this actually has more RAM in it than my 2017 iMac, and this is 7 years older. So I guess there's a little bit of performance advantage there in that aspect. So let's take a look at the system report here really quick and see what we have. So according to this, again, it's the model identifier 5.1 Intel Core 2 Xeon processor. I'm interested to go down to the graphics and displays here. So, okay. So according to this, we have two ATI Radeon HD 5770 graphics cards in this machine. So we have a total of 2 gigabytes of VRAM in this machine if we were to utilize both graphics cards. It is picking up both of those cards. Again, I'm not 100% sure if the other one works. So actually, to test that out, I'll just unplug our monitor here and we'll plug it into the other ATI graphics and see if that works. Yes, it does. So I can verify that both graphics cards in this machine in fact do work. So that's excellent. I'm super happy about that. So again, to summarize this machine, I got it for about $185 after they gave me a $150 rebate because it didn't have a hard drive in it. I went out and bought a hard drive for about $33 on Amazon. It's a 250 gigabyte PNY hard drive. So if you were to add up the total cost of this machine, it was a little over $200 I actually got this machine for. Now, for being, again, a 10-year-old machine, that's not too bad considering the amount of storage that we can put in this machine. Again, we can put up to 6 hard drives into it. And then on top of that, we can use NVMe flash storage into the PCIe slots as well. So summing that all up, it is a very powerful machine and it's something that we can definitely add on to later on. Now, I think one of the next videos I will be doing on this machine here in the future is not only, I'm not gonna do a video probably on like putting hard drives and stuff in because that's not super exciting. However, I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna try and sell both these graphics cards in this machine and get money to go out and buy a different graphics card so we can put it in there. It'll have full metal support. We'll be able to upgrade officially to Mojave, and we will be able to then use the Catalina patcher from DOSDude1. I have his link down below here in the video as well, to be able to patch this Mac Pro 2010 model to Catalina. Now, the last official version that the 2010 and even 2012 Mac Pros supported was Mojave, which is 10.14. 10.15 is not officially supported. However, there is the patcher out there that you can update it to, and it works basically flawlessly. You won't even notice. So that's probably gonna be a video coming soon here on the channel in the near future, probably in the next month or so. I'll be doing a graphics card upgrade on this along with some operating system upgrades. In the meantime, I'm gonna go through, set up this machine, configure it to how I want it to be configured to start acting kind of as a server to store all my media content on as my media library grows more and more diverse with every single video that I make here on the channel for you guys. So again, guys, if you have any suggestions on what you think I should add into the Mac Pro, definitely leave your comments down below. I'm really looking forward to, again, doing some more upgrades to this machine in the near future here on the channel. And again, make sure you hit the subscribe button, click the like button if you like this video, guys, and click the bell for notifications at the top as well. And we'll see you next time in another LoveTech video.